minste van de drie. En als die film niet gemaakt zou zijn, ja, dan had ik die eigenlijk ook niet gemist, wat dat betreft.
Nee. Oké, ik ga hem even stoppen.
Ja,
Ik ga
is
hem
goed.
even opnemen.
Ja, is goed.
Mr. Hammond, the phones are working.
Oké. Dit moet ik... Sorry.
Maakt niet uit.
Doe hem zo opnieuw.
Hello?
Ellie!
Hello?
Charlie! Charlie!
Hello?
Charlie, take the phone to Mommy now! It's the dinosaur man!
Hello everyone, Not a Park Egg here, and today's episode is about Jurassic Park 3. I still have my theater ticket from 2001, as you can see here. It was the time when we changed from gulden, florin, to euro. So the two prices are still being shown here. 3 gulden, and that is €1 and 36 cents, euro cents to be exact. I still can't recall why I got such a cheap ticket. Well, this was my first Jurassic Park movie that I did not watch in Goes. That was the place where I lived. I watched Jurassic Park and The Lost World in this theater. But for Jurassic Park 3, me and my cousins, JT and Bobbert from Wu-Tang, I'm not going to give you their real names, we went to Vlissingen, Flushing. I remember that we were a bit too late, so we went in and entered the cinema hall. It was already dark. We went up the stairs running, but one of us stumbled and we fell over each other. So that is how our Jurassic Park 3 adventure started. Really action-packed from the very beginning. I have to say, I liked it, but it was certainly not my favorite of the 3 Jurassic Park movies. But over the years, I have come to appreciate it more and more, especially when it comes to the dinosaurs and some of the action sequences. My favorite character of the movie, of course, is Alan Grant, and that is why I wanted the Mattel Jurassic World Legacy Collection Alan Grant. Of course, not knowing that years later, a way better Hammond Collection version would come out. Let's have a look at these first, some other JP3 dinosaurs, before I will get into the real subject of this video, Jurassic Park 3, the missed opportunity, in my opinion. The most famous dinosaur from Jurassic Park 3 is the Spinosaurus, and this one is the edition of the Hasbro line that took it over from Kenner when Jurassic Park 3 came out. We already have a Spinosaur, multiple Spinosaurs from Mattel, but we don't have a Hammond Collection Spinosaurus yet. What I like about this one is the kind of golden glow on its back and upon the sail. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this one because it's actually the only Spinosaurus, the only dinosaur I have from this Hasbro Jurassic Park 3 line, because I liked it, and it was a pity because the action figures that came along with some other dinosaurs were not in scale with this. Later on there was a bigger Spinosaurus, but that one didn't come out in my country. Well, of course, we have the Hammond Collection dinosaurs from Jurassic Park 3. We have the male Velociraptor, the Corythosaurus, and the Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus, we say in my country. Those were actually quite new to the whole series because we haven't seen a Corythosaurus and an Ankylosaurus before. We did see Velociraptors in Jurassic Park and in The Lost World, but not these kind of Velociraptors. And that is what I really liked about Jurassic Park 3. these are for me the number one raptors. Really, they were. I like this design of Stan Winston's studio. What does it say? It doesn't say really that much about on the packaging. Oh, the colors are cool. Well, cool stuff. I haven't opened it yet. My compliments to Mattel for recreating the Jurassic Park III Velociraptor. That's not the only one I have, by the way. The Corythosaurus, he was actually not on InGen's list, they say. It was secretively created. And it was in a herd together with Parasaurolophuses. Those were already present from the beginning of the Jurassic Park movies, together with the Brachiosaurus and later on in during the hunt. But this one was new, and I like this one too. Only the coloration maybe is a bit different from the movie. Not sure if there we have a picture. Yeah, I think it's a bit different. Could have been more like orange. But no problem. I like this one. Does it have any... Oh, and this was, by the way, when the Velociraptors were chasing the stranded people, and among them was Dr. Alan Grant and Billy searching for Eric. The people were causing that stampede, and those were like, okay, let's follow them. So, yes, that was that. And next off, we have the Ankylosaurus. He was there just for a few seconds in the movie. This rendition of that new dinosaur in Jurassic Park III by Mattel is done very good, in my opinion. Yeah, I definitely like the this version of the Ankylosaurus. I do have another Ankylosaurus, bought that one in Germany, but this one is pretty good. And it looks like the one from the movie. Definitely. But there is no real... Oh, that's a pity. There's no picture of the movie version on the box. But no problem to me. There was also and there still is, but if you want to get your hands on that one, you have to pay a lot of money, which is not worth it, because this dinosaur had some issues, as it did in the movie, because in the movie it was there for a very short time. It was smelling Alan Grant and Amanda Kirby and Paul Kirby, and he was like, I'm not gonna eat you because you stink, because they were with their hands in the dinosaur dung. So yeah, that was the Ceratosaurus. He was actually replaced. No, Carnotaurus was actually replaced by the Ceratosaurus, because a year before, Carnotaurus was the main villain of Disney's Dinosaurs, or Dinosaur, whatever. So Joe Johnston and the team chose for the Ceratosaurus, which is okay, but it's a pity that it didn't have that much screen time. I missed out on that dinosaur, and there were quite a lot of issues of the joints and so on, so I don't mind that I don't have the Hammond Collection version of Ceratosaurus. I do have a Ceratosaurus, that one that came with, I think, the Camp Cretaceous one. Last but not least, well, it says Jurassic World, but Isla Sorna Velociraptor Encounter Pack. Well, what would that be? It's very surprising that it comes with this box. It has contenu un figurine, un dinosaure, 6 accessoires, assemblage requis. That's French. I'm not going to translate. It's going to cost me a lot of time. I got this one sent to me by Jurassic Pete Custom Collections. Thank you, man, for sending me the Hammond Collection version of Dr. Alan Grant from the Jurassic Park 3 movie. Dr. Alan Grant and the female Velociraptor. Here we got the male, and there we have the female. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Look at this. There you have Dr. Alan Grant, you have the female raptor. Finally, she comes with a painted head, because the first so-called Jurassic Park 3 Legacy Collection Velociraptor from Jurassic Park 3 didn't have that. I will show you that to you in a minute. You got the eggs, you got the spare hands to hold something. Don't know what exactly. Perhaps the eggs, but the eggs are a bit too big to fit into the hand. Maybe you can hold the hand up and place it in the palm of the hand. And a bag, which is probably the bag that came with the first Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park 3 from Mattel. Yeah, well, I can lift this up and then you can see. Oh, he also has this backpack. Oh, that's cool. Oh, door is closing. Yeah, splendid. Look at those claws. Oh, yeah, cool. But what I wanted to show you is a little comparison. I only have one point of critique when it comes to this Alan Grant. But first, oh, look at that. There's a little story. While surrounded by the Velociraptor pack, Dr. Alan Grant decodes the pack's behavior and helps return the stolen eggs in order to escape a treacherous situation. Well, that would not have been possible without a certain accessory, which is not in here. I will disclose that to you a bit later. First, the older version, Mattel's older version of the female Jurassic Park 3 Raptor, well, it looks a bit pale in comparison to this one. Yeah. Nevertheless, I'm glad I have it, by the way. Some people did have a painted head, some didn't, but that you can see in my other video about this product. Then we also had the, well, cheap Dr. Alan Grant. He does look different than the Legacy Collection Alan Grant, Jurassic Park Alan Grant, but, well, the Hammond Collection went so far to put the right print on his shirt, and here they thought, well, we just leave it to the blue color. Okay, cool. Well, oh yeah, I promised you something to show, which is actually missing from this kit. Yeah, it's definitely missing from it. It's in this box. I have many small nice things in it, and there's Darius, and Darius came with this resonating chamber of a Velociraptor, and I think it would have been a very, 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 well, small effort to put it in there, like, you know, here or something. So then he would have been complete. And I'm really happy that I could get my hands on Darius. I'm not a big fan of Camp Cretaceous, I'm honest with you about that, but he came with this. I mean, that's cool. It should have been there with him already, and when they got the chance to put it in there, they didn't. So that's my criticism on the Hammond Collection Jurassic Park 3 Alan Grant and female velociraptor. Anyway, but I have it, so I can put it right there. There are great scenes in the movie, but it could have been way better. And I'm going to tell you why. And read something for you about it. And, well, you can have your own opinion, but I can have mine. So, yes, I do like this movie. I love some scenes like the chase with the velociraptors and Alan Grant surrounded by those vicious but smart velociraptors. It's all fantastic, but story-wise, it wasn't that good. Joe Johnston was interviewed by a certain Fred Topel about Jurassic Park, and he also states that Joe Johnston directed Jumanji and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and The Rocketeer. But the title of this interview is Jumanji's Joe Johnston Joins Jurassic, Part 1, Shooting Without a Script. Shooting without a script. How in the world can you do that? This was also the very question of Fred Topel, the guy who interviewed Joe Johnston. He asked him, what does it mean to be involved in script writing when there was no finished script? And then Joe's answer is, well, there were 2 other versions of this story that were written. There were 2 other complete versions of Jurassic Park III that we wrote and storyboarded and scheduled and then threw away. 5 weeks before we started shooting this movie, we threw the script out and started over. We started writing in 1999. Actually, Craig Rosenberg wrote the script in June of 1999. That was about 5 or 6 teenagers who got marooned on the island. It was just discouraging. Even though it was not badly written script, but it was actually good for what it was. But I don't think anybody wanted to see that movie. And there was another one that was actually storyboarded and scheduled and budgeted. And we scouted locations for it and even started to build sets for some of it. And that's the point where Topel gets very curious. So his next question is, what was that second idea? Johnston's answer, it was a sort of a similar idea, although it didn't involve a rescue. It involved a family with a kid and Grant and Billy crash landing accidentally on the island. It had as a parallel story a whole Costa Rican mainland thing where dinosaurs were getting onto the mainland and killing people, and they didn't know who, or what, or why it was doing it. It turned out to be pteranodons, so it was a completely different story, but Stephen was involved in sort of helping to conceive all the different stories. Then, when David Koepp came up with the last idea for a rescue mission, Stephen embraced it, as completely as everyone else did, and we all said almost at the same time, yeah, we have to start over. We have to throw out what we've been doing, because this is a better idea. Okay, hold on right there. Pteranodons are not dinosaurs. Technically, they're flying reptiles. Anyway, secondly, remember this, David Koepp came in, and he came up with that idea of a rescue mission. Basically, the guy of Jurassic Park 7 or Jurassic World 4 turned the whole thing of Jurassic Park 3 around. And Steven says, yes, let's do this. I think we have to keep that in mind for the end. Let's continue the interview. Did the old scripts have the same action sequences? Johnson said, yeah, there were variations on those because what we had to do at that point was we were so far down the road as far as schedule and budget, the storyboards, that we had to adapt those sequences to the new idea. There was an aviary sequence that was much, much longer. Unnecessarily long, I think, and we had to adapt that to the new story. There was a lab sequence that was more complicated, where they actually went into the lab, spent the night, and made that a base of operations. And raptors were getting in and sneaking into the lab. It was sort of the same idea, just more elaborate and more unnecessarily complicated. So we tried to take those ideas and adapt them. And next, Topel is asking a very important question. At what point did you have the final script? Johnston's answer is, we never did have a final script. We did not have a final script until after we wrapped the movie. We shot pages that eventually went into the final script, but we didn't have a document. The joke on the set was, it was going to be the wrap gift. Everybody got a script. We had a script for the day we were shooting, and maybe the next day, and sometimes a week ahead of time, but we never had a story that had a beginning, middle, and an end. Okay. Right. We had to go back to Hawaii to shoot the ending because when we were there for the first time, we didn't know what the ending was going to be. I would have said, really? But that was not the reaction of Topel. He said, was the film always intended to be 90 minutes? Johnston answered, no, but I think the movie is the length that it needs to be. It was never a lot longer. It was maybe 6 or 7 minutes longer in the longest rough cut. But I don't think movies should be any specific required length. I mean, if it was under the 70 minutes, I think it was too short. But 90 minutes, 94 minutes, I think, with credits, is a comfortable time to sit in one of those chairs. And the whole story evolves, and I don't think we're missing anything. I don't think you're right at that point, Mr. Joe Johnston, but that's my honest opinion. To conclude this interview part, it has become clear that there were 2 scripts prior to the actual Jurassic Park III movie we eventually got. The first script about the teenagers was discouraging, as Johnston said. Note, think of Camp Cretaceous today? The second idea was already a solid thing, but they threw the whole script out because of David Koepp's idea, a rescue mission. But that idea never had a finished script. It only had sequences based on that second idea, like the raptor lab chase and the pteranodon aviary sequences. The story did not have a clear beginning, middle, and an ending either. Well, that explains some loose ends, like who attacked the boat in the beginning. We assume the Spinosaurus did, and that aviary is left open only for just a peaceful pteranodon escape. Well, that you left the door open had a more ominous feeling about it. And oh yes, how in the world did Cooper get injured? Spinosaurus could not have done such minor damage to his arm. The poor guy from church would certainly have lost his arm. Anyway, the second script did have a beginning, a middle, and an end, so it seems. Is there more information about it? Yes, there is. What was Jurassic Park III's, quote, original, unquote, plot? The book Jurassic Park, The Ultimate Visual History from 2001 provides a good answer on pages 188 to 193. By the way, that cover is horrible. I mean, look at Grant's face and then have a good look at Lex and Tim's. They really look like him. No offense, but how lazy. Let's read about the original plot and see if it was a good choice to throw this second script with a solid beginning, middle, and an end away. I'm just going to read on now from page 190. There it says, in December 1999, shadow-based playwright Peter Buchman was brought in to rework Rosenberg's draft. Around the same basic idea of families marooned on the island, nudged Johnston. Jurassic Park III would be Buchmann's first screen credit, although the writer had previously worked with Christopher McQuarrie, the Oscar winner writer of The Usual Suspects, 1995, on a never-made script about Alexander the Great. Buchmann's rewrite of Rosenberg's script was ongoing through the early months of 2000. It begins with two wealthy American tourists, Jeannie and Rick, parasailing over Isla Sorna before cutting to Costa Rica, where Harlan Finch, representative of the U.S. State Department, has just flown in for a meeting with Carlos Lopez, Costa Rican Minister of the Interior. Jeannie and Rick have disappeared, the latest visitors to go missing at Site B, and Finch is soon accosted by Simone Garcia, a local environmentalist, who urges him to visit the local police station, where he is shown the lacerated remains of a dinosaur victim. The story then switches to Utah, where Grant is lecturing at a dig, courting potential donors for a raptor research substation he wants to build on Isla Sorna. Grant is assisted by a graduate student, Billy Hume. In the audience is a wealthy businessman, Paul Roby, who has brought his dinosaur-crazy 12-year-old son, Miles, to the dig, along with his business associate, Susan Brentworth. Paul and Susan are a couple, though they have yet to tell Miles, whose mother died 3 years earlier in a car crash, with Roby at the wheel. Finch arrives at the lecture to tell Grant that if he helps the United States gain sovereignty over Site B by testifying at a hearing the next day in San Jose, he will grant him exclusive research rights to the island. Well, that sounds really tempting, doesn't it? Roby also promises Grant a substantial donation if he will host a sightseeing flight over Isla Sorna, with himself, Susan, Miles, and bodyguard Cooper on board. That's Cooper. As he is planning to testify at a hearing in Costa Rica, Grant agrees to participate. During the trip, Roby's pilot, Tom Udesky, ignores Isla Sorna's no-fly zone and skims over the island, but is forced to land after hitting an unidentified object, as they barely clear a ridge. When they try to take off from the island, the plane clips the Spinosaurus as it suddenly emerges from the jungle, sending the aircraft spiraling into the trees. The creature rips off the nose of the plane. Udesky is yanked out, but Cooper saves Miles shortly before the fuselage falls to the jungle floor. The group escapes from the wreckage, but they encounter a T-Rex, which squares up to the pursuing Spinosaurus and loses. Parallel to this, on the mainland, the hearing that Grant was set to attend gets underway. Simone Garcia reveals that attacks have taken place as far north as Baja and as far south as Panama, while Harlan Finch tells Carlos Lopez that if dinosaurs are breeding, this is not a Costa Rican problem, it is a world problem. Look, here comes already Jurassic World into play, kind of. After encountering the skeleton of Rick, one of the missing American tourists, Grant and the others discover an InGen compound with a dinosaur hatching laboratory. The group actually went into the lab, spent the night, and made that a base of operations. And raptors were getting in and sneaking into the lab. It was, says Johnston, unnecessarily complicated. The group evade the raptors, escaping on dirt bikes, that's interesting, and later hiding in treetops, though Cooper is killed while selflessly protecting Miles. Well, this is quite a different Cooper from the Jurassic Park 3 we got. During development of the script, Johnston was keen to further explore the raptor's intelligence, as touched on in the earlier films. He wanted to examine the notion that they had mental processes, they could reason, and they can hunt together, he says. A plot strand was developed in which Billy steals eggs from a raptor nest, leading the creatures to relentlessly pursue the group across the island. The director even borrowed from Jack Horner's own research when it came to a key plot point. Using a 3D printer, Billy creates a working model of a raptor resonating chamber that Grant shows off during his lecture in Utah. We actually did that at the Montana State University, says Horner. We CAT-scanned a dinosaur skull and made a rapid prototype of its narrow chamber where it could make sound. Later in the story, when he and Billy fall from their hiding place in the trees, Grant uses the chamber to create raptor calls, distracting the egg-hunting creatures so he and Billy can escape. In this draft, the story continues to switch back and forth to the mainland, to Costa Rica. There, Finch visits a village where a dinosaur has supposedly been captured, only to find a broken cage and several dead villagers. Police also encountered frightened fishermen who have netted a headless carcass. Simone identifies the corpse as a pteranodon. At the very moment, Grant's group unwittingly enters a giant aviary and encounters the terrifying winged creatures for the first time. Miles is snatched by a pteranodon, which drops him in its nest of hungry babies. Billy takes the parasail recovered from Rick's remains and jumps into the canyon to save Miles. In the air, they're attacked by 4 of the winged beasts. Miles survives, but Billy dies at the claws of an enormous pteranodon. The survivors take to a barge and head to the Indian Marina, where they encounter the Spinosaurus, which bites through the boat's wheelhouse. Grant's group gets trapped in a giant cage and falls in the water. Miles manages to escape and fire a flare gun at the dinosaur, igniting a spilled slick of gasoline. The creature retreats, but the danger is not over. Although satellite footage shows the Roby's wrecked plane on Isla Sorna, the US government chooses to send in A-10 Warthog fighter jets to swipe out the dinosaur population. Bombs are dropped, causing a dinosaur stampede, but the pilot spots Roby on a ridge and aborts the attack. After the group is saved, the mission's commander, Colonel Peters, wants to finish the job, but Grant refuses to leave the island. He's last seen running into the jungle, recalling Spielberg's Crusoe idea. These final scenes led to the film gaining an apocalyptic new title, Jurassic Park Extinction, a name that was later rejected. The thought from a studio, and my memory is that Steven agreed, was that it sounded too final, as if it was the end of the franchise, comments Johnston. It was also a little misleading. Extinction for who? The dinosaurs? The human race? Alan Grant? Eventually it was switched to something more simple. No one was particularly fond of Jurassic Park III, but you certainly knew what it meant. The director adds. Okay, that's interesting too. Throughout the early stages of the story's development, Steven Spielberg remained heavily involved, sometimes plotting out action sequences separately from even ahead of the script writing. Steven was doing a lot of storyboarding alongside the writing, says Kathleen Kennedy, and some of the action sequences were actually being written to mirror what he was developing through storyboarding and previs. Much like the experience of the preceding 2 movies, spectacular set pieces were being conceived and the connective tissue of the script built around them. So it's clear that Steven Spielberg was always involved in Jurassic Park 3. Production designer for the movie Ed Verreau confirms Spielberg's involvement by saying Steven definitely, as always, is in the background there. We basically only got the adjusted Alan Grant stranded on Site B with a tourist storyline, and Kathleen Kennedy states in the making of Jurassic Park 3 that they wanted to go for a smaller scaled story about the common people getting into trouble with dinosaurs. I don't understand why they listened to that unlucky bastard from The Lost World, David Kapp, who has written Jurassic Park and The Lost World, and also now Jurassic Park 7 or Jurassic World 4. Don't get me wrong, I'm very hopeful about this upcoming Jurassic movie because I got a feeling that Boorman's ideas might be realized after all. Scarlett Johansson as Simone Garcia or someone like that character from Boorman's script won't be that far-fetched. Anyway, I don't understand either why everyone, including our celebrated Steven Spielberg, and he rightfully is, yes, but why he embraced an idea and a story without a good, finished script. Here are my thoughts. Keeping the Costa Rica line intact and making some adjustments to the Boorman script. Jurassic Park Breakout, maybe. That was one of the concept titles, working titles. Could have been, in fact, a way better movie than the Jurassic Park 3 we got in 2001, and I believe it would have set the stage for a very, very interesting Jurassic Park 4 on the mainland, with perhaps Lewis Dodson as the antagonist and his bias in company. If that movie would have been made, I'm sure that the Jurassic World trilogy as we know it today would never have existed. But again, these are my thoughts and my opinions, and you can have yours about this subject matter. So let me know in the comments what you think. In my next video, let's say Jurassic Park 3, The Missed Opportunity, in my opinion, Part 2, I'm going to give you a tagline and a synopsis for Jurassic Park 3 based on Boorman's scripts for JP3 and on the revised version of it by Alexander Payne, Jim Taylor and John August. Because not everything in that rewritten JP3 script was adapted into the movie. For example, the ending is quite different from what we see in the movie, but that ending was really good. You know, in Boorman's version, Alan Grant taking off in the jungle while the Air Force is dropping bombs on the island because he wanted to have what Finch has promised him, exclusive access to Site B for research. Well, that sounds quite strange and is basically suicide. We all want Alan Grant to have a worthy exit, right? And by a worthy exit, I do not mean a kiss from Ellie Sattler. This was Not a Park Egg. Like this video if you liked it and subscribe to my channel. That would just be great. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.